Robert Whittaker finds himself as an underdog against Israel Adesanya in their rematch. See who fighters are picking in the latest edition of MMA Pros Pick.
You know, that's a tough one because we don't see Whittaker often, you know, and so you don't know how good he's going to be or how many advancements he's made. I think just in general, the Adesanya style that he brings to the fight is going to be really tough for Robert Whittaker to deal with, just physically, with the reach and the distance management and how well Israel just shuts people down from the outside. He does the same thing. He shuts people down. He neutralizes them from the outside and then picks them apart. It's exactly what happened in their first fight, and I'm excited to see what Whittaker's team has come up with to deal with some of that stuff, because we've seen that backing away and staying away doesn't work. We've seen that crashing in and trying to close the distance doesn't work. That's what happened to Whittaker the first time. It's the same thing happened to Paulo Costa. I would take a lot of things from the Vettori fight if I was Whittaker and try to build up on those and do it better. But that's the funnest part to me. And, obviously I don't think Whittaker doesn't have the physicality and probably the wrestling and top game that Jan Blachowicz does to be successful. So not only do you have to kind of take that, like if I was going to fight Izzy, I would be very similar to Blachowicz. Like, stay safe, keep the rounds close at the beginning, take a little bit of the heat off, get him breathing a little bit, making him work. Got to deal with the leg kicks for sure. And you got to get to his body, and you got to, and honestly, a lot of those takedowns were just because Jan Blachowicz was just physically imposing. Izzy went to all the right places in the takedown defense stuff. He didn't have enough ass behind him. You know what I mean? He just was the smaller guy. If I had to put some money on it, I would put it on Izzy, because I think that's the safe bet. But Robert Whittaker is a live dog for sure.
Man, I'll have to give Adesanya the bump, but goddamn, did Whittaker look good his last fight? Holy shit! So it'll be interesting to see it play out.
If Adesanya doesn't starch him, man, I'm gonna be disappointed. That's my dude. He's a character out of a comic book, man. He's not human. I would be very surprised if he did look like that in that same form that he's normally in this fight.
Like, I'm a really big Bobby Knuckles fan. You know what I'm saying? I like the way he fights. I like his pace, his fight IQ, and all that. And then he's had a lot of time to recover from any injuries. To shore up any holes in his games. The tough thing is, like, Stylebender is just such a bad matchup for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to have to use some of his wrestling. He's going to have to fight with his hands up. I don't think you can fight Stylebender with your hands down, personally. In my humble opinion, I think, unless you're like a straight up, kickboxer who also has 100 fights, I think fighting him with your hands down, especially with his reach, is just tough. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to come into his punching range, you got to come in with your hands up. So, I still have Stylebender in that. If I have to put money in, I'm taking Stylebender.
I was saying he's a hard guy to bet against. You know what I mean? Because he just radiates confidence. Like, that guy really, really believes that there's no one that can beat him. And after you lose to somebody, I think it messes with your mind. And it's just a height thing. I think Whittaker does really well against everyone that's about his height, but I think he really struggles with guys that are taller. And it's just a height and reach thing. I think if they were the same size, I think Whittaker runs through him. I think he's technically better. He's a little more explosive, better athlete. But Adesanya he's got these guys figured out. Adesanya, I think, wins that rematch too.
Israel Adesanya is a gangster. I see it. I feel like the fight's going to go a little longer, but I think Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to go. I mean, obviously Adesanya should be the favorite, but I think Whittaker's definitely the second best fighter in that division. So I'm looking for a competitive fight. Tough to bet against Whittaker, but I definitely think Whittaker or Adesanya, but I think Whittaker has a great chance of winning that fight.
With that original flow, head kicks with the pros, picks of the fights or anything in the mix. Getting closer to the heart of the flame, bringing conversations with heavy hitting names. You feel the love of the game.